Coucou les amis!
C'est Mango.
And strawberry.
Welcome back. It's been
A week?
uh
Two?
a week since our first episode. This is interesting. Like
Definitely,
def
definitely. So we are doing today a trigger warning because we are going to talk about grief, and we want to be mindful of the people that just lost somebody or lost a relationship, friendship, or whatever they lost. And we want to be just clear and sensitive with you as we are going to talk about a deep subject. As we talked during the introduction, we are going to talk about fun things like we did during the intro, and other episodes we will definitely. But sometimes life happens and you have to talk about deeper subjects. Even if it's difficult, even if it's hard, you are not alone. And we're also here to talk about it to make you feel okay. We are not therapists, so we are not giving any advices, because that's not our job. We are not qualified for it. But that's only our opinion and how we feel, how we dealt with grief, and how worked for us or not. So that's just it. That's the trigger warning.
Okay, then I have recently experienced a loss in my life. Um and I've had to kind of deal with it myself. You know, not alone, but for me as something that I've never actually experienced. It's kind of different from all the losses, quote unquote, because most of the people of in my life that are no longer in my life, to my knowledge, to this day, the majority of them are still living, and that's a comfort as well because there is a possibility.
Yeah.
And I am currently dealing with that lack of possibility, the hope itself. But as a Christian, my faith has been very helpful in this grieving moment. So, as much as it's been hard for me, I have also been very blessed to have a lot of people just pour love into me, strawberry included. It's been very, it was the moment I was like, oh, this episode should be about grief. And strawberries agree.
Yeah, because I think it's the things that happen in your life. One morning you will just wake up and something like that will happen. And that's difficult, and that's something that you're sometimes not prepared to deal with or face. So if you have someone that is talking about it, not lightly, because we're not going to talk about it lightly, because I think it's a pretty deep subject, but giving maybe my feelings about how I grieve will be the same as a person listening to, or you will talk about something that you did to cope. That person will be, oh, I did the same thing and that helped me. Because sometimes, so different, like people will cope differently. And sometimes people will judge you because you don't cope the same way. So having someone talking about that subject, which is, I think, very important because it's part of the life, it's reassuring, saying, oh, I'm not the only one coping like that.
Yeah. Before we go any further, let's talk about what grieving is. According to the internet, grieving is the profound emotional and physical response to loss, encompassing a wide range of feelings like sadness, anger, confusion, and even numbness.
Well, for me, I kind of agree with that, but it's just a definition. And I think it's more complex than that, and there is like a lot of layers to that. Because grief is like a human response to loss. And it's not only the death of someone that you loved, it also can be someone that you lost from, like a relationship. You lost your health, your home, your long held dream, for example. That's something that you can have the same emotions, feelings that even if it's just like a dream, you know, uh, you can also have the feelings of grief. And for me, grief is not just feeling sad. It's you have obviously emotions like sadness, anger, guilt, but you can also have like physical effects, fatigue, changes in appetite to sleep. For example, when I lost someone in my family, I was not able to eat nothing because that was the physical effect on me. You can also have cognitive effect. You you hear but you're not here. You cannot concentrate, you forget things, you're questioning like meaning. It's difficult to be here on your
Fully
feet.
present.
Yeah. And sometimes you can also have like a spiritual impact. You will reevaluate your beliefs, your purpose, and your values. And I'm not gonna lie, that's something that happened to me. uh, I was I was wondering why God would do that to that person. Why God would do that to my family? Why God? And obviously, you are questioning everything because you do not think that it's fair, and it's just like human response to trauma. But at the same time, for some people, it will be the opposite, like for you, you know.
Yeah. I think it's interesting the why God is still there. I don't understand this. Why? But at the same time, it's like I've had my, I will call it my spiritual crisis at some points. And I think having it then is kind of keeping me from having it again.
No, that makes sense. I understand.
But I totally agree with like everything you said, like mostly being present and actively there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been kind of struggling with that. I've even seen it like this past few days where I'm just in my own head. Like
Yeah.
I'm around people, but sometimes I'm just like dissociating and being totally somewhere else. And one thing that nobody prepared me for, or preparing me, I mean, something I wasn't aware actually will take place in my heart is not necessarily anger, but the need for other people to not be happy. It's like, why are you all having this awesome conversation, laughing and smiling, and I'm here not happy that you're happy?
Yeah.
Like, the realization of that, I don't want you to be happy. I was like, this is bad. Because deep down, I don't mind the happiness of others when I'm not okay. But part of me doesn't want it in my face. And it's also the anger toward myself. I don't want to laugh. I don't want to be happy. I don't want to have fun. I want to be sad, but it's been so fun being around them, making my heart feel lighter.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the guilt of that feeling
Yeah.
is something I'm struggling with. This really goes into how grief has many layers.
Yeah.
You really are struggling to live life like you used to.
Yeah. And I don't think that you will live life like you used to
Yeah.
either way.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will say, oh, time time does heal. And I'm like, no, no, it doesn't. You can do whatever you want. It can be like 20 years from now. You will not be healed completely. Well, I don't believe in that. But maybe time will change your pain because for example, what everyone is feeling when they're losing somebody, there will be, there is like a breaking point where they feel anger. And that thing that you said about you don't want to be happy, you don't want to smile, you don't want to laugh. I had the same thing too. I was for like prohibiting myself of smiling, of eating, because it was like, no, that's not fair. And that's not possible to just go back to your life that easily in a way. And maybe from like 20 years now, you will think about that person. It will be painful, not as painful maybe than now, but still, you will still have pain. You still like have your heart broken when you think about that.
Yeah. You will have pain you by remembering their spirits, the life they live, the joy they pour into life and others, and
Yeah.
that can bring comfort to your heart. Like you said, time doesn't heal, but rather it helped change the pain. Yeah, I called a friend hoping to hear that. Time heals all wounds, but no, no, no.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And well, you don't want to hear that, but at the same time, that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at some point in your life, it will still hurt. But like you said, it will be more when you do something. I don't know what you're going to do, but you do something and you think about that person and you say, oh, that person would have loved to do that with me. But at the same time, it gives you like happiness in a way, but at the same time, sadness, which is okay to feel like both feelings. But when it was someone close to you, it's complicated to not think about that person when you're doing something good, like graduation. That was a difficult part for me.
Mm.
Even if I was very happy, I was like, well, she will not be here for my graduation. She will not see. Even though I think that there is maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you know what I mean, but
Like she saw it, she just wasn't there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sometimes it's complicated,
Yeah.
but I think that your friend was right. It's not something that you want to hear, but it's something that is unfortunately the truth. Um, and that's part of the process to be like, okay, that's true, even if it's
Mm.
hard.
Let me ask you this. How did you cope when you were going through a grieving moment?
Um, well, I'm not gonna lie, that was very difficult for me to cope. I didn't have at that time, in my opinion, a good way to cope because I wanted to be alone all the time. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Um, so I just stayed in my room. I had to do the things that I had to do because I was still in like law school, so I had to wake up in the morning and go to
Your
class and
classes.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it was difficult, but at the same time, I didn't want to do that. So I did that because I was obligated to. I was obliged to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to stay in my bed and do nothing. And at some point, I was like, no, you need to like wake up. It was like a week or two where I wanted to have that alone time. I'm also a very lonely person. I like to be alone all the time. So I don't mind loneliness. And I that's how I cope. I don't like to talk when even if it's not grief. Most of the time I need to process things, process my feelings, be alone, and after I can come back to life and talk about it if needed to. But if I don't start talking, I don't want to talk about it. And still now. But I know it's not a good thing to cope by being alone all the time.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's bad personally because I kind of have the same tendencies. But for me, I process things like feelings better alone
Yeah.
because I have very big feelings. Like, I don't have a good medium. I'm an extremist when it comes to feelings. I either feel too much or don't feel at all. Like, there's no middle. And so I feel like because of such big feelings, sometimes being around others doesn't allow me to fully embrace and then digest them.
Okay, I understand.
So I totally see why like sometimes being alone is important. Like for me, I like to stay busy.
To-do list,
Yes,
checklist.
exactly. Like you said about like your graduation, you knew she was watching you and she was there for you. For me, it was I don't think she would want me like this. She would want me to actually get up and get ready. One thing that I've also found is moments of my life where I felt filled with many unhappy feelings. I tend to write.
Really?
So yeah, so I wrote a little poem.
Oh, wow. Do you intend to read it?
See, I've been debating that.
Okay. I try to write. No good for me. It's not, no, it's not working for me. What you said about she did, well, the person didn't want you to see you that way. I had the same thing. I was like, no, I need to continue with my life. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to go to class. I'm going to
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, take my shower, and continue with my life, even if it was like complicated to do, because it's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy to because that person meant a lot to you
Hmm.
and they knew your dreams, they knew your callings, they knew like what you aspire to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a fuel, like in that sadness and everything, if you're thinking, okay, this is not where they would want me to be, those feelings can be also put to other uses, help you push through and help you stay strong. Let's talk about the biggest big part of grief that sometimes we overlook, and I'm guilty of it. It's self-care.
Oh, yeah. I mean, most of the people will think that because you go on with your life, it's okay and it's not done, but because it's like cold-hearted when I say that, but you know, you go on, it's fine. Because you don't also you do not take most of the people do not take the time to feel.
Mhm.
And you have to care about yourself and not practice avoidance, you know, because there is a difference between self-care and avoidance, between numbing and truly processing. And I think that if you're not taking care truly of yourself, it's like super complicated to just keep going. At some point, you will have a switch in your head, in your brain, and you will just like go crazy. Not not in a bad, not in a mean way when I say that, but more like you didn't take the time for yourself. It's like in cocotte minute because you're just like taking so much stuff in you. You do not talk most of the time that people that practice avoidance do not talk about what they feel. They just feel by themselves. And it's okay to process by yourself. It's okay to feel by yourself. But at some point, even though you don't have anyone to talk to, or you have someone, but you do not trust them 100%, you can go to a therapist, talk about it with a therapist, because at some point you need to unload what everything you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
to not explode and to not just have all the feelings coming back in a wave and just slapping you in the face.
No, I think I've experienced I have been uppercut minutes and
Oh,
I have exploded.
me too.
But I think it's more like sometimes putting something into practice and seeing it out like so hard and on different end of a line.
Yeah, me too. But because I'm not talking about something I didn't experience, I'm talking about something that I did experience.
Exactly.
I inflicted myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, it's just too much because yes,
Mm-hmm.
you're avoiding for a long time. You're avoiding maybe for a year, and maybe for 2 years you're not unloading anything. But at some point, you will have like a no return point where all your feelings just come back in one wave, slap you in the face, and just you just like, wow, I cannot deal with anything right now. Because you avoided that long, at the end, when you have all the feelings, because you cannot avoid feelings, they will come back. Yeah, you can try, but they will come back and stronger also.
They amplify.
Yeah, but you know why? Because you avoided the same kind of feelings for little things in your life. And in addition of what you avoided, like the big thing, it's like a bigger thing. I don't know if it's understandable, but that's my analysis of that. So that's why I think that taking care of yourself is going for a walk, or I don't know, if it's sunny outside, just looking at the sun and saying why you're grateful for. That's something that I do since I am like 17, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Not every day, it's difficult to do that every day, but when I think about it, or even if I wake up in the morning and I'm not feeling good, I'm like, okay, go outside, look at the sun, and say what you're grateful for.
No, and it could also be in doing little things for yourself, like little things that make you feel a little bit more like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Even like doing a face mask at night before going to bed, eating something that you love.
one thing that I found for me is that whenever I am not feeling like me or whenever I'm neglecting me, one thing I don't do is open my blinds. And sometimes I have to force myself to open the blinds, like regardless of everything, because sometimes I associate opening the blind with letting the world in. Let the sun shine in, and sometimes I even open the window. Like give a little bit of yourself away in a sense and allow the world to feel that part. It's funny, I have a bow collection. Everybody who knows me knows about the bow collection. It felt wrong putting a bow on right after for some reason because I did not want to wear a black bow, but I also didn't want to wear a colorful bow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been kind of asking myself, what was her favorite color? Because I don't think it's a question I've asked, to be honest. But what I realized the other day was how about I pick a color for her?
Yeah.
The color that shows her fully to me.
Yeah.
And I picked that color to be yellow.
Like the sun.
Yeah.
I don't know how why I'll say why it's so complicated for us as human being to, like, for you it was the bows, for me it was my jewelry
Mm.
or putting makeup on because I put
Mm-hmm.
makeup on. Not every day, but sometimes, yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna put my jewelry. I'm not gonna put makeup on. There is nothing to celebrate. I don't know. That is maybe a response like I don't want to shine with like my bow. I don't want like attention to me because I want to not I want to disappear with my feelings, I think.
Just wants to be unnoticed
Yeah,
because I think
exactly.
it's the idea that that person can no longer be seen. What is the purpose of you being seen?
Totally that. That's exactly it.
But I will say it's such an interesting thing, like grief alone, like how you deal with it, how you even manage it with others, because when you're grieving, it's not just you, it's everybody else too. And sometimes you just you default to caring for their grief before you care for yours, because that way it kind of distracts you from your own grief too.
That's also the thing about self-care. Because if you're living a grief with your family or with friends, you you have it's not you have to be there for them. It's whatever you choose. Because if you cannot grieve, you cannot help people grieve either. So you have to take care of yourself first, and after you will be able to take care of the others. If yeah, you're not a superhero.
I think embracing the feeling, just don't let the feeling consume you, because that can happen. Just embracing it, accepting that, okay, this is what I'm going through,
Yeah.
and slowly navigate through it.
And also sometimes when you're embracing your feelings, even if it's anger, if it's sadness, or at some point you will feel happy again, that feelings will help you go through your life. That's how life, for me, had like his like the complete sense of life is for me feelings. And you can turn those feelings that you're having into something that is good. You have that, they can have an impact on you. You can change your priorities. You can have sometimes, it depends, like empathy. That can also fosters like resilience. Um, or just like you will be more involved in your community, uh, or just helping people. Like for example, I don't know, last time when we went to the shop and I gave like the $10 off ticket to that person. It was nothing because it was like free for me, but I helped that person.
There is helping others and being willing to receive help as well, like admitting that you need help,
True.
and being able to just be like, let me reach out to this person. And I'm grateful enough that I have a few friends that I can do that with. Hey guys, I just need to hang out. If I reach out to this person, I know they will show up for me in this area. But if I reach out to this person, I know they will show up to me in another little area of my life.
Yeah, it's like when we talked about how you can have different friends for different things.
Exactly. Yep, that's correct. And I think that's very helpful, because in some areas of your life you feel responsible to help other, but you also have to know that you have a support system of your own. And I think I've recently just learned that. So
Hmm.
that is a very important lesson.
I agree.
Actually, I am going to start an actual little segment called Strawberry Words of Wisdom. Last time you ended this with such a wonderful, little tone and all these great words. Strawberry. What are the words of wisdom that you have regarding processing grief or grief itself?
I'll say something. Well, thank you for giving me that first. I'll say something that I think most of the people needs to hear, and you need to hear, and at some point I needed to hear. It's like you're not broken. You're just human. And at that point, if you know that it's normal to have feelings, if it's normal to feel that kind of things, that's okay. You're not a robot, you're not a superhero, like I said. And everybody wants to be a superhero, but you're not. You're just human. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel sometimes guilt. Um, but For me, grief, it's not like a linear process. And like we said, you have the 5 stages of grief. You have denial, anger, bargaining, and depression and acceptance. But for me, grief is not a checklist. You can go through the stages. You can skip some. You can experience them in a complete different order, and that's okay because that's a response to how, as a human being, you are feeling and not about how I should feel, you know?
Yeah.
That's my word of wisdom.
And you also had you also did a French word of the day actually, cocotte minutes.
Cocotte minute. Yes.
So
Yes.
you guys learned so much today. Une cocotte,
It's a pressure cooker.
a pressure cooker. Well, you know what? That makes sense.
Yeah. You just explode because you're just human. You're not broken. And you don't need to repair yourself. You just need to heal. And it will take time. You will still like feel the pain. It will just change with time, but it will not heal 100%. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that if you're going through that, just pace yourself, take care of yourself, and embrace your feelings. It's important to feel what you're feeling and not avoid, because at some point you will just be a cocotte minute. So, thank you so much.
Ben, les amis, nous sommes à la fin de notre épisode.
So, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you, Mango. It was very nice talking with you about that deep subject.
It was amazing speaking with you.
It was very good.
I
And
know, and I miss you. You should come back.
yeah, I will, don't worry. And the last thing that I have to say, des bisous fruités et à la semaine prochaine.
Au revoir les mango berries. Oh,
Au revoir.